frightened?
Goodbye, Daleks.
From the worlds of Big Finish, Livchenko makes her explosive entrance into Figure Adventures. But why does the Doctor need her?
I knew it.
I did just save you from certain death, Liv.
Yeah, just spit it out. What do you want from me?
Help.
In this edition of Confidential, we will be taking a look into episode 6 of series 5, The Lambent Ones. The idea behind this story was actually an idea pitched to another FA maker as part of a competition, along with two other ideas including the Zygon story seen in last series. The pitch included the idea that these monsters fed off of humanoid energy and had been feeding off humans across the world for centuries, until the Doctor followed the strange lights back to the source. The strange lights in the sky idea had been something James was keen to include since 2014, when a lot of research into strange lights across the world had been completed. Unfortunately, the pitch was not successful. However, that gave time to allow it to be made by James instead. For this, he approached a friend and writer who impressed him for his work on his part of the script for the Years of Trenzalore from 2015, Matt Clark. We sat down with Matt to talk about becoming the first writer since 2013 to write for James's FA and what the experience was like. Hi Matt, great to meet you finally. So, did you expect to be the first person in 3 years to write an episode for James? And how did it feel to take up that role?
I definitely didn't even begin to think about the idea that one day I would be able to write for James, because I thought that the chances of that happening were just so slim. So when I was given the opportunity to write for his series, I was just, overjoyed. Not just because I was getting to write an episode for him, but also because he'd actually trusted me to write him a good script, and that just felt sort of really amazing.
What did you initially think of the idea James pitched to you?
I was quite excited by the idea that he pitched to me, because I'd seen the title of the episode, The Lambent Ones, listed on his website for God knows how long, and I was really intrigued by it. So when I finally found out that that was the episode I was writing, it just made me want to get started on it, straight away and make the script as good as the title made it sound.
Did you find it hard with the limitations to write something that will probably go down as a series highlight?
Honestly, because I was just so excited to write for James, I wasn't really thinking about the fact that I did have certain limitations while writing, because ultimately I just wanted to tell the story that James had given me in the best way possible and make it seem as real and emotional as I could. Though the one thing that I was slightly apprehensive about was the setting, but I realised quite quickly that that was the best possible place to set it, and James had made absolutely the right decision to put his foot down on that point.
Why did you decide to introduce a boyfriend of Ellie, and do you think it will lead to anything in the future?
Well, in our first conversation about the episode, James brought up the idea of giving Ellie a boyfriend, and he said that that was one of the reasons why he wanted me to write it, because my main strength when it comes to writing is emotional and dialogue scenes. And I think that giving Ellie a boyfriend who has now been killed gives her an even bigger sort of emotional grounding and really developed her character.
How was it working with James?
Honestly, incredibly easy. He was very open to new ideas about the plot and the characters, and very rarely put his foot down on anything that he thought was the right way to go. And even when he was certain that one of his ideas had to be in it, it was absolutely for the best, and I think it's really obvious when watching the episode. And I think that because he kept me so guided and to the point in my writing, that's why the episode is so successful.
If you were asked back to write another script, would you? And what would it be about?
I'd have to think about returning because I had such a good time on this episode. I fear that a second time, it might not be the same. However, if the story was right and I was free to work on it without any distractions from my own Doctor Who series, I would definitely say yes. What would the story be? I have no idea. Although I would like to write a story with the Axons one day. Who knows if that'll ever happen.
Do you think it was worth the wait? Were you happy with the final product?
I thought the final product was as close to what I had imagined in the script as any person could get it. When I was writing the script, I was thinking about certain shots or how a line of dialogue should be said, and James was just one step ahead of me. Everything I'd pictured like that was pretty much exactly how I'd imagined when it was visualised in the final episode. So I definitely think it was worth the wait, and I'm just really, really pleased that I've had this opportunity.
I began writing the script in February 2015, just after the completion of the Years of Translaw. However, I decided that after the opening of bringing back Livchenka, I would contact Matt to see if he would be up for writing the rest. I know he was good at character writing, and I know he would give Ellie and Liv a run for their money in this episode. I gave him time to look over the idea, and he was extremely fast in completing the script. I decided long ago that if I were to do a series with the 8th Doctor, Livchenka would be the Big Finish companion I would bring to the Figure Adventure universe. After being obsessed with Dark Eyes and leaving her off as a jump-on and jump-off companion, as well as being very feisty, she was perfect. Having an already established character, it was much easier to write for the 8th and to bring a new TARDIS team together. I love writing for her so much that she does actually appear later on in the series too, but that's for another time. The first job was creating the customs. For Liv, I started with the Last of the Time Lord's Martha Jones figure, removed the head, found a spare primeval figure, swapped the head over, and created a plug for the head to sit on. I then removed the ponytail of the original figure and sculpted on an attempt at hair similar to Nicola Walker's hair in the photo shoots that she did for Big Finish, and then matched up the skin tones with the body and the head. Another custom for the episode was the TARDIS. Originally filming on this episode, the opening scenes had the 7th Doctor's TARDIS in a bright blue. However, about a week after filming the original scenes, Forbidden Planet got another shipment of 7th Doctor's TARDISes. So I decided to fork out and get another set, just to customise for the 8th Doctor. Here you can see pictures of the TARDIS being transformed from the horrid bright blue to a very dark blue, almost War Doctor colouring. I realised that I could probably get away with giving the lights a yellow tint. This meant that when the lights were off, the TARDIS could resemble a 6th Doctor TARDIS, and when the lights were on, it was giving another War Doctor hint, meaning the change between the TARDIS on the TV movie to the Night of the Doctor had a small bridge in the form of my custom. Both customs were completed by June 2015 and production began over July. Filming included TARDIS filming as part of the episode 5, 6 and 7 block on the TARDIS set in May, then green screen filming on the opening in late June. The interior ship scenes were shot at night in July. For the desert scenes, I walked down to my local park, which has a sand area. Due to filming requiring a dark setting and the speed of sunset during summer, I decided it would be easier and better to film just before sunrise at about 4 o'clock in the morning in early August. I filmed all the scenes backwards, meaning that in editing it looked like the sun was setting and getting darker between each scene. Filming concluded early August and editing on the opening scene began in October. It was then abandoned to work on the Essence Chronicles, and then returning to the episode in March 2016. The voice and arrangements changed a lot in the process of this episode. To begin with, I was voicing Ellie and Liv. However, upon editing their first meeting scene, it was so hard to determine who was who, and I think it would cause too much confusion when we were watching it. So I ended up asking Chris, who does the 8th Doctor, to take up the role after his excellent performance as Jessica Bell in Series 3. I do think it actually helped the episode because his voices between male and female are quite different, so I think it holds up. I also need to thank Nathan Ward for making the menacing Great One come to life. It was a pleasure to finally get hold of him and be in my videos, so that was great.
So what does the future hold for Liv, the Doctor and Ellie? Will Ellie forgive the Doctor, or will this damage their friendship forever?
Oh, it's certainly not forgotten.
Until then, keep your eyes peeled. The memory worms are coming.
Your memory is a monster. You forget, it doesn't. It simply files things away. It keeps things from you, or hides things from you. and summons them to your recall with will of its own. You think you have your memory, but it has you.
There's thousands.
Thousands of what? Memory worms.
For this, he approached a friend and writer who impressed him for his work on his part. For the script of the Wait, hold on, I've got this. Wait. Give me a moment, I've got this. Oh yeah, here we go, boys. Writing's a bit too small. For this, he approached a friend and writer who impressed him for his work on his part of the script for the Years of Trenzalore from 2015, Matt Clark. Yeah, I'm the real Slim Shady. I've got a keyboard there for these kind of occasions. I just use it really. I've recently been learning how to play the theme tune from Father Ted. Father Ted's great bunch of lads. My lovely horse. Yeah. Anyway.